Or with us getting into full swing of the holiday season, and I'm just recording this a little bit before Thanksgiving, I wanted to find out, what about living in Winston-Salem are you thankful for? We asked it on our Instagram, Facebook. I reached out to some clients, sent some emails, and we got quite the list. Some things you might expect, and some things, because it's the internet and social media, that were funny or snarky. I'm going to make sure to share some of those too, but we're going to go over through the most common responses that I got. And it just came to my attention that about a third of the people that watch these videos watch them on their television, actually. I don't know why that surprised me a little bit. I watch YouTube on my TV sometimes, but finding that out, I think that really cements me as the #1 celebrity real estate agent in Winston-Salem. And because so many of you might be watching on your television and you can't look in the description, I'm going to put my contact information on the screen right now in case you need help buying or selling real estate. But seriously, I'm going to read these across. I'm going to read these just exactly as they came across, give a little reaction to them, and we'll keep it moving. The first one, what are you thankful for about living in Winston-Salem, is Ronaldo Village. And when I first read this, I didn't give it much thought, but then it came across a couple other times. I started thinking about it. Maybe Ronaldo Village, because I don't, I'm not one that goes shopping and stuff like that a lot. So I'll go there once in a while. But as I was thinking about it, besides shopping, it really is a good place where you can just spend an entire day there. Yes, there is a lot of shopping there, but there's some really good restaurants. There's Dojo's for coffee. There's Mayway for some of the best dumplings in Winston-Salem. There's Penny Path Cafe. There's a couple other restaurants. There are some really solid restaurants in Ronaldo Village. But also when you're done, shopping and eating, there are some great walking trails within the area as well. So after you're done doing all that, you can go on a really scenic walk. They host a lot of events there too. And not just like weddings and things like that. There are other events that will go out on there, out in the grounds. Also, when you're there, you can go head right over to Ronaldo Gardens and check that out, or the Ronaldo House too. It's just a really cool place. I guess maybe it does fly under the radar. Like I said, I go there once or twice a year, but it is a really cool spot. All right, next thing, what makes you thankful about living in Winston-Salem? Now that my kids are older, I don't have to go to the Tanglewood Festival of Lights anymore. I can see why this might make people thankful. And if you haven't been here, if you have younger kids and things like that, the Tanglewood Festival of Lights is an absolute must-see. I mean, people travel from all over to go into, you pull into Tanglewood Park, it's decked out all in Christmas lights and everything. You stay in your car for the most part and just drive around, look at all the different lights and displays. And because people come from all over, is probably why this person is sick of going there. It does get really, really trafficy. And as for much time on these videos as I talk about traffic and the lack thereof, this is the big asterisk on that thing. Tanglewood Festival of Lights, it can take a long time just to get even into the park. The roads surrounding it, as it gets to dusk around Christmas time, it gets really crowded around those roads. And then once you're in there, you're kind of in there. You're in a procession of cars and you're just kind of cruising around for a lot of it. So I can see how some people would think after a period of time, like, good, I don't have to go there anymore. Especially if you're in the car with some kids and they might not be having the best time or getting impatient after a little while. I can see how that would be the case. All right, next one, thankful for living in Winston-Salem, the people and the history. So this is a twofer. The people here, it came up multiple times, and you're going to read different things on the internet about all this stuff, and I've discussed it at length. I'm not going to beat too much of a dead horse about it, but the people here are phenomenal, very friendly, welcoming, outgoing. And as far as the history goes, the city really does a great job. Not only just places like Old Salem, but other historic parts of the city, whether it's like the West End neighborhood or other historic districts in Winston-Salem. There's a lot to explore all the way back from the 1700s to the early 1900s, depending on how far back in history that you want to go. There's a ton of stuff to explore in Winston-Salem. So I think this is an excellent one, the people and the history. All right, next one. What are you thankful for about living in Winston-Salem? The red clay, because it's everywhere. This is another good one. And if you're not from the South, you might not be familiar with the red clay. I remember it from when I was a kid when I lived in Georgia. And I'll stop short of saying red clay is everywhere here, but it is in a lot of places here. I live in a newer construction neighborhood, and so we had to do the seed and straw for our lawn. There wasn't lawns in here, and it's a little bit more difficult to grow grass in, and it will splash up on the houses. If you have kids or anyone, or you or your pets or whatever, they're playing in this red clay, it's difficult to get off. It will stain clothes, shoes, and all those things like that. It can be a real pain. My backyard, we have a white vinyl fence in our backyard, and along the base of it, there's all these red clay splatters. I assumed it was from when they put it in and before the grass started coming. Now, our house is about a year old, so the grass isn't all the way in parts of the backyard. I assumed that this was just when they put that fence in the clay, just kind of got up against the fence. And every time I look out the back, there's this one corner in the back where there's red clay splatters all along the bottom of this fence, and it just drives me crazy. I actually had my son go out there and wash the fence last year. Thank you, Caden. And I assumed that would take care of those splashes finally when he got that clean, but then the next time it rained really hard, they came right back. So until our grass grows in all the way, I'm gonna have to look at this ridiculous red clay stained fence. And that will conclude my rant about red clay. Yes, it's a thing. Yes, it can stain things. So just be aware. All right, next one about things thankful for living in Winston-Salem. Anything and everything all in one place. This is a really great point. It came up multiple times when I asked this question. Winston-Salem has a huge variety of things to do, but more importantly, all in one place, it's really, really easy to get around. Even when we consider other parts of the Triad, if you got to go to Greensboro or High Point, I mean, Greensboro's, 30, 35 minutes away to get to downtown. Similar story with High Point, but the joke kind of here is you're 10 minutes from anywhere, but you're also 10 minutes from everything. Meaning that, things are just a little bit spread out here. Now, sure, there are some neighborhoods or downtown and things like that where things are, tight and walkable and things like that. But the majority of things that you're going to do, whether it's, go out to eat besides your favorite restaurant in the neighborhood to go anywhere else, you're going to probably have to drive there, or, shopping and different things like that, is you're 10 minutes from anything, but you're also, it seems like you're 10 minutes from everything at the same time. So maybe good, maybe bad, depending on how you look at it. But as far as having anything and everything all in one place, Winston-Salem does an excellent, excellent job for a city of its size. All right, next thing that they're thankful for is the weather. Okay, mixed emotions on this one for me personally, at least, because I do kind of have a little bit of a love-hate relationship with the weather here. I mean, I was so sick of winter when I moved from the suburbs of Chicago to here in summer of 2019. I really wanted to get far away from it, but I did not want to go deep, deep south. And I'm joking around mostly with a love-hate relationship with the weather here. I mean, 8 or 9 months out of the year, I love it. Absolutely don't mind it. When I get a little bit tired of the weather here is the winter. I wish it ended just a little bit quicker than it does. It's a mild winter, and granted, when it does get cold for here, it's cold for about 2 weeks. The thing I would change here is I would have a switch. I would flip that switch. At the end of February, we would just be solidly in spring. In Winston-Salem, this part of the country is not like that, unfortunately. We can get some chilly weather well into March. I think actually it was just only because I pay attention from the wineries and vineyards. It was maybe 2 or 3 years ago. They had frost like right around Mother's Day or the day before. I mean, now granted, the vineyards were up a little bit higher. It wasn't that bad here, but it can get colder longer than I wish it did. That's my kind of trade-off with the weather here, and the part that is kind of the love-hate thing. I joke around about it. It's a little bit true, but I am ready for spring. March 1st, I wish it was just spring from here on out. That is not always the case, but there's a ton of things to love about the weather here. 4 real seasons. None of them are super extreme. Yes, summer gets a little bit hot in, July and August, but like the opposite of the winter, it's for about a 2 to 3 week period where it's really hot. Fall is amazing. Winter is tolerable, very, very warm. You'll have plenty of 50 and 60 degree days throughout the winter. And then spring here is amazing when everything comes back in bloom. So overall, like I said, I joke about the winter here. I do love it. I just wish winter ended a tad quicker. All right, next one, thankful about living in Winston-Salem. State-run ABC stores have helped me cut down on drinking. And I don't know if this is a knock on the fact that the state runs the liquor stores in North Carolina, or if it's some of the ABC stores in Winston-Salem are known for not having the best selection. I think this mostly applies to like if you're really into bourbon or scotch. I think some of the selections there can be pretty limited and pretty basic. They do tend to carry all the staples, so Tito's vodka, very popular here. And you'll have all your bases covered. It's not like you go in there and there are bare shelves, but I'm guessing this person is referring to some of the ABC stores are not going to have selection on some of the premium spirits, or not even premium, just stuff outside the every single day stuff, especially when it comes to like bourbon and scotches, which are really popular right now. Guessing that's what they're referring to. But congrats on cutting down drinking. All right, next thing we're thankful about living in Winston-Salem is perfect location and not too many bugs. Amen to this one. I am so glad there are not giant bugs in Winston-Salem. I agree with you. Location here is amazing. And actually, when I first moved here, I kind of, yeah, it's close to the mountains and beach and all that stuff like that, but really, it's in a really sweet spot for the state and the country for that matter. I think I mentioned before when we were looking to move here, we looked at, we still want to be driving distance from Chicago, but we definitely wanted warmer. And if you look at even like Kentucky, Tennessee, like parts of that, they get real winters. Even in North Carolina, when you go further west into the mountains, real winter. I wanted to avoid that. Further east towards the coast, too many hurricanes and things like that. Definitely wanted to avoid that. So Winston-Salem, just nationally, a really sweet spot. Great weather most of the time. But also within the state, it's really good too. I mean, you're in a city, but you can get up to, the mountains in a couple hours. Mount Airy is about 30 or 35 minutes from here. You're getting to Greensboro, High Point, really simple. Charlotte, about an hour, hour and 15. Raleigh, about an hour and a half. So just a really good spot to be in the state if you really want to take in all that the state has to offer. Agreed. What a great location. And double agreed. Not too many giant bugs. Thank you. Next one, thankful about living in Winston-Salem is Old Salem. And I used to spend a lot more time in Old Salem when Cobblestone Farmers Market used to be down there. They moved a little bit further down Marshall Street. And my office downtown is not very far from Old Salem, so I'll go through there once in a while. But Old Salem is a real gem. Now it's the holiday season, going on there and going on the bridge with the Moravian Star is always a very popular photo opportunity. But then just taking the tours and stuff through Old Salem, it really is a special place to see how things were back then. And if you go there now, there are still some, modern shops that are in some of these buildings. And I've actually shown a few homes actually in Old Salem, some of these old homes that have been preserved. And just the history there is really amazing. Old Salem is great to really go. And even someone that lives here now, I do go be a tourist there about once a year. It seems like now, spend some time down there. It really is a neat place. All right, next, living in Winston-Salem, what are you thankful for? Meeting Jeff Valentino. Thank you. It was only one person that said this, but I did have to include. And I'll just tell you again, I met some amazing people, some really good friends, some amazing clients working in Winston-Salem. The people here are just friendly, outgoing, really love to support local businesses. So thank you, Leah. And if you need help buying or selling real estate, I would love to be a resource for you. You can reach out to me directly at jeff@govalentino.com. Thanks.